Dear friends, first of all, good morning from sunny Brussels. I will repeat it. And also welcome to this event where we're going to discuss the IPA CBC programs or the IPA Interreg programs. In my intervention, I will cover 3 points. The first one is an update of the calendar in which we are working in. The second is a reminder of the priorities we are covering. And the third is also the way we expect to see those priorities to be translated in the programs. The purpose of this session compared with the one organized in the two organized in April 2021 on the 14th and 20th. In April, it was really to present the novelty of the regulation. And for this session, we are really there to help you fine-tuning the draft programs you have been working on for several months. Starting with the calendar, just as a reminder, in May 2018, the Commission made a series of proposals for all the new policies, notably for the Interreg programs, and we presented a regulation to be discussed in the Council and in the Parliament. In December, on the 2nd of December, after intensive and exhaustive discussion, the Parliament and the Council reached a political agreement on most of the EU budget, and in particular for today's discussion on the post-2020 European territorial cooperation programs. This led the Commission to fine-tune the ETC allocation per member states, and they were defined in February and shared with the member states. You have not been waiting for all those decisions to be taken to start working very hard to define both the geography of the new programs, but also the priorities. And congratulations for the good work done. It was really building the ship while sailing as we're working with regulation which were not finalized. What are the next big milestones in front of us? First of all, we now expect the ETC regulation or the Interreg regulation to be adopted end of June. Now we are at the stage where what we call the jurist language are putting the final touch. It went to the Parliament, which has agreed with the text, and we now expect that we have all the green light to have the final adoption by end of June. At the same time, the Commission has been working with the EU member states to see how the ETC allocation shall be divided among the programs. That's something very important because it will pave the way afterward to allow the Commission to negotiate internally with the External Action Service in order also to get the IPA funds which are needed to have those programs working. We have not yet received all the proposal by member states, but we expect them to come in, to arrive in the next days. And this will allow us to adopt the implementing act, defining the envelope of the programs and the geography of the program by the month of October. I will not come back to all the changes that have occurred in the new regulation, which is indeed simpler, leaner, but one of the most important changes that up to 2020, the Interreg programs were supporting territorial cooperation among member states in particular. And with the 2021-2027 proposal, we have the ambition to support territorial cooperation between member states and also with all the countries which are surrounding the European Union. So if we go by concentric circle, we start by the IPA countries, but also the countries covered by the neighborhood policy, including Russia, and then all the countries around the outermost regions. And it goes quite far. You may have seen on the map, it goes up to Australia. But it shows really the importance that the European Union gives now to this political dimension of using Interreg program to engage with the countries around the EU. It means that the Interreg programs are serving now clearly two policies. One is the cohesion policy, and the other one is the external policies. What we find in the cohesion policies is the three first priorities of the von der Leyen Commission in particular. The first one being the Green Deal. The second one is what we call a European economy fit for the digital age, or what we call very pragmatically the digital transition. And the third one is an economy that works for people. And this is also where we find the recovery process from the COVID-19 crisis. And we expect that the programs you are working on will contribute to those three overarching priorities. The last point, which is an historical objective, but which remains extremely relevant, is the principle of convergence. It means that the cohesion policy has the objective of leaving no one behind and leaving no region behind, and to help all regions to catch up with the most advanced. This applies to the EU regions, but it is also something that applies to all regions which are participating to Interreg programs. And as I mentioned also, the IPA programs are going to contribute to the external policies, which is the fourth priority of the College of 2019-2024. It is a stronger EU in the world, and there are two important elements to keep in mind. First, we have a very positive momentum for enlargement now, with a process which is resuming and moving forward, in particular for the Balkan. And then also something important to note is that we have a very complex situation whenever we speak about the neighborhood, with tension between countries of the neighborhood, but also tension between the European Union and some countries of our neighborhood, leading to démarches and sanctions. In this context, it's also very important to keep in mind that the Interreg programs are coming with a very positive agenda, and they are maintained even when sanctions are applied, so far, at least. If we speak about this external dimension, what do we expect as concrete outcome? First, it is an opportunity for the member states and the regions which are engaged in the Interreg programs to strengthen the dialogue with the regions around the European Union. And that's something very important. It allows them to contribute to the EU external policy, but it is also a way to make sure that this external policy comes with an element of cooperation and trust building. The second is really to reinforce also the engagement of enlargement. I will come back to that, but this is something totally central in the new IPA programs. And the third one is to help the IPA countries to prepare for the enlargement process. And I will come back to that point. So how does it concretely translate in the programs you are working on? And this is, I believe, the most important element of my intervention today. First, we would like you to keep working, I would say, on the legitimacy and the ownership of the programs you are working with. First of all, part of the program we are working with are covered by macro-regional strategies. As you know, the macro-regional strategies are political platform, intergovernmental platform, which are set up by the countries participating to those strategies. The countries are outside and within the European Union, and those strategies are supported by the highest possible level of endorsement by the European Union. What does it mean is that the strategies are supported by a request from the Council, a communication from the Commission, and then they are endorsed by the head of states, the European Council. So we don't have any higher level of political credential, and it's very important that you use those strategies to align your the objective of the program with the one of the strategy, in order to be sure that you are in the best possible position to accelerate the implementation of the top priorities of the European Union, the ones I just mentioned. There is also something important whenever we speak about legitimacy and ownership. It is the partnership principle. We want that in the preparation of the programs, you involve the partners from different parts of the society. And that's something very important. It may be implemented notably by putting in place mechanisms to finance small projects or people-to-people projects. But what we want to see is certainly that there is a bigger role given to civil society whenever it is possible, and a bigger role given to youth. The special attention to youth, and I will just open a parenthesis, is connected with the ambition of the new EU priorities. Whenever we speak about the next generation of the EU, it's really because we have the ambition to propose a new economic model that will work for the citizen and that will also reconcile the economy of the human being with the ecosystem. And this is a process that will transform the EU and that will take decades to be implemented. So it's very important that young people are fully on board as we are preparing the European Union that will belong to them in the coming decades. In this context, it's also important to keep in mind the two Interreg-specific objectives, namely the better governance and also a safer and more secure Europe. The second point on which I wanted to come back before moving to the third and the last one is the enlargement dimension. We will never insist enough on this point. First of all, we are working extremely closely with the GNR. We have a day-to-day relation with colleagues. And we want the program to contribute to the enlargement process, to contribute to the integration of the acquis communautaire in the countries of the region. We also consider that the Interreg programs are a first opportunity for the countries which are outside of the EU to start using tools which are developed for the member states. And it's also a first opportunity to train for shared management and to train for cohesion policy. So it is really also there accelerating the readiness of the countries outside of the European Union. And the last point, which is also always very important, is that Interreg programs were initially designed also to strengthen relation between communities living on both sides of the border. We started by looking at that from a purely, I would say, internal approach. You know that borders are often scarce of history. We know the violent history that are designed the borders within Europe. We know also the story of the Balkans. So there, this dimension of creating trust and confidence is very important. The last point on which we are going to insist is also the efficiency that we want to further promote. And there certainly the importance is to make sure that first the Interreg programs, which are about cooperation, are cooperating and coordinated among themselves. And the second point, which is very important, is also to coordinate with the other tools, in particular the ones supported by the IPA mainstream programs and also the ERDF mainstream programs. There is an opportunity for the Interreg programs to play a catalytic role in that context. I think I will leave it at that for my intervention. I would like to already thank all the colleagues who contributed to set up this event. I see that now we have nearly 50 colleagues on board, so that's quite the proof that those events are expected and needed. I would like to thank the Interreg colleagues, but also all the Commission colleagues who are going to intervene today, and in particular the IPA team in DG REGIO, which has been working also extremely hard to put this to make sure that this event will be possible. I wish you a very fruitful discussion, and I'm also looking forward for the colleagues to debrief me afterward of the outcome of those discussions. Unfortunately for my side, I will not be able to stay much longer with you. Thank you very much for your attention.